You've come up with a brilliant idea. You've done the hard work to develop your invention, and now you've finally secured your patent. Your next step is to consider how will you commercialise your IP. That is, how will you get your product or service into market so that you can benefit from your great idea and the hard work you've put in. There are a number of ways of doing this. You could, for example, commercialise the invention yourself. This would involve you completing the product development, you setting up and managing the manufacturing, and then doing the marketing, the sales and the distribution of the product without external assistance. Many patent holders, however, do not have the experience, the resources, nor the interest to undertake all this. Accordingly, patentees often look to work with others to commercialise their IP, and one of the most common ways of doing this is through issuing a patent licence. This involves you giving permission for others to use your IP under certain terms and conditions. The licence is a contract between you and the licensee to commercialise your product. In granting such licenses, there are, however, a number of factors that need to be carefully considered. Firstly, there are different types of licenses, and you'll need to consider which will work best in your circumstances. You could issue an exclusive license. An exclusive license is one where the licensee is given the right to exploit the IP throughout the patent area to the exclusion of the patentee and all other persons. You could issue a sole license, which is similar to an exclusive license but allows you, the patentee, to still use the IP. Finally, you could issue non-exclusive licenses, which allow more than one person and the patentee to exploit the IP. You may want to place certain limits on the non-exclusive licenses you grant. For example, you could allow a licensee to only operate within a certain territory of the patent area, or you could limit the licensee to operating only in a particular industry or for a particular class of product. Once you've decided on the license types, you then need to consider the commercial arrangements you'll negotiate in order to be compensated for the license. Many patent holders require the licensee to pay them royalties. So, for example, they may require payment of a royalty based on sales calculated as a percentage of the product sale price. Alternatively, a patentee may wish to negotiate lump sum licence fees. This could include an upfront fee on signing the licence agreement and then fees payable at particular milestones in the product commercialisation, such as when manufacturing commences or when certain sales volumes are met. There's no one-size-fits-all rule here, and how you structure the royalties and fees and the value of the compensation arrangements will differ in each case. Factors that will be relevant in the commercial negotiations include what type of IP is it and how developed is it. The closer the product or service is to market readiness, typically the higher the royalty. What type of industry is the IP in? Different industries have different rates of compensation. And ultimately, what is the relative bargaining position of the licensee and the licensor? Once you've determined the commercial arrangements, you should consider any specific conditions you want to have in the license agreement. For example, do you want to require the licensee to keep certain records and make them available to you? Do you want to place any restrictions on the ability of the licensee to sub-license or assign the license to others without your consent? And do you want to be able to terminate the agreement if the licensee does not deliver on key milestones or achieve certain sales targets? Where you have an exclusive license based solely on royalty payments, protections such as these may be critical. And finally, there are a couple of other issues that you will need to consider. If your patent is owned jointly, you will need the consent of all co-owners to grant any license. To avoid any confusion and future misunderstandings, you should also set out the terms of the patent license in a contract, and you should register the details of any patent license with the Patent Office. Issuing a patent license can be a great way to allow you to commercialise your IP. Carefully considering the issues outlined in this video and seeking appropriate advice will ensure that you establish licensing that works well for you and enables you to be rewarded for your creativity and hard work.